Hi, my name is Laura. I met my husband Alex when we were on vacation on a tropical island. We were both staying at the same resort and met purely by accident, although years later, my husband swears that it had been fate. We lived in separate countries in the beginning, but it was hard, and we wanted to be together. And so I sold my home and moved in with Alex, and our love began to blossom. Years after I moved in with him, we got married. Although his mother disapproved of the wedding. At first I couldn't understand what she had against me, and I tried to comfort her and told her that I would never replace her in a million years, but that wasn't the issue. She didn't care that I made her son happy. The only thing that she could see was that my skin was black. She would make comments about my skin or hair, and I tried to ignore her, but it was more than either of us could bear. And so my husband and I cut contact with her. I could tell that it was hard on my husband, but he promised me that he was okay. Then one day she reached out and promised that she had changed and had seen the error of her ways. I was skeptical, but Alex got so excited that I chose to forgive and forget. And for some time we did get along, although I could tell that she still didn't care for me. But my husband was happy that he had her back in his life, so I ignored the warning signs. Regardless, we went on with our lives, and we came to realize that our small apartment wasn't big enough. We knew that one day we would need more room as we had plans to have children. Luckily, I still had money from the sale of my house, and we used it as a down payment on our dream home. We were so happy. At least we were in the beginning, but then Alex came and wanted to ask me something.
Hey honey, I have a big favor to ask you.
What do you want to ask?
Do you think it would be okay for my mom to come for a visit? I would love for her to see the new house.
I was hesitant to say yes, but I knew that it would make Alex happy, so I agreed. A few weeks later, she came over, and I could tell that she was impressed with the house.
This place is so lovely. I bet your family is jealous of how massive your home is.
Yeah, it was a good thing that we saved the money I had from selling my house back home. Without it, we would have never been able to afford this.
As if someone like you could actually have enough money to afford a place like this.
I didn't know what to say. She hadn't even been in our home for an hour, and she was already back to being mean. Part of me wanted to speak to Alex about what she said, but I didn't want to upset him. After all, he was so happy that he had his mother back, and I didn't want to take that away from him. So I kept quiet. But it kept happening, and she was getting worse.
So why did you and Alex buy this house anyways?
Well, the old place was too small, and we're trying to have children, so we needed something with a bit more room.
Children? I guess I can expect them to look like you, so I will be having black grandkids, ugh, and they'll probably have your ugly hair too.
Excuse me? Why would you say such a horrible thing?
Oh, don't be so sensitive. No one likes a woman that is offended by everything.
I did my best to ignore her, but she was really pushing my buttons. It seemed like any time she drank that she would say terrible things. At first, my husband and I didn't mind her having a drink here and there, but she never had just one. And she only drank our wine and never bought any of her own. Our new home came with a wine cellar, and we took pride in putting different kinds of wines from around the world in it, and she was quickly emptying it. On top of that, she was a horrible chain smoker too. And even though we asked her to smoke outside on the patio, she would ignore us and smoke in her room and try to hide it by spraying air freshener. Of course, it didn't hide anything though, as we knew what she was doing, but again. Things between Alex and her were finally good, and neither of us wanted to rock the boat. That is, until I came home from the gym and found her passed out in the living room. She was drunk and had fallen asleep in a chair while watching TV. Next to her, I saw a burn mark on the chair and noticed that she had been smoking, and when she fell asleep that her cigarette had burned a hole in it. That was the last straw for me. Wake up! Wake up right now, you idiot! I just couldn't take any more. I needed her to understand that this wouldn't be tolerated anymore.
Huh? What are you shouting about?
Don't you see that you ruined the chair? This can't keep happening. You're drinking all the wine and making the house stink like smoke. Unless you want us to kick you out, I suggest you stop being such a terrible house guest.
You can't kick me out. I have nowhere to go. I have no money or home. Besides, what right do you have to speak to me like this? I wish my son had married someone white.
I was so angry, but then she fell back asleep. That was the last straw, and so I called my husband, who was out running errands. I'm sorry, Alex, but we need to do something about your mother. I just came home and found her passed out in the living room. She dropped her cigarette and burned a hole in the chair.
She did what?
Yes, and on top of that, she's back to her old ways. She keeps saying racist things to me. I've had enough of her.
I'm so sorry, honey. I had no idea, but you're right. She has overstayed her welcome, and it's time for her to leave. I think it's time we cut ties with her again.
According to her, she has no money or home to go back to.
What? But does that mean that she had intended to live with us forever? That was not what we had agreed. Okay, that's it. For sure, when I get home, we are going to kick her out.
I was so angry that I could barely see straight, but I needed to go and wash up before getting started on dinner, and so I left her in the living room. As I stepped out of the shower, though, I smelled something odd. It almost smelled like the smoke that comes off a campfire. That's when I panicked and quickly ran to the living room to check on my mother-in-law. The smell of smoke was getting stronger as I got near, and when I walked into the room, it was like walking into an oven. Nearly every square inch of the room was engulfed in flames. Thankfully, my mother-in-law was nowhere to be seen. Terrified, I ran outside and called the fire department. Sadly, though, by the time that they arrived, the house was destroyed. Nothing was left of the house except ash and dust. Our dream home was gone. When I finally was able to find my mother-in-law, I was beyond angry. You evil cow! I had just told you not to smoke in the house because you ruined the furniture, and now you've gone and done something worse. You burned down our house.
Oh, it's okay. My son will buy another and hopefully he'll divorce you. I bet that the fire was all your fault anyways.
How could it be? It was from your smoking that the house burned down.
That's it! I'll put you in your place!
She swung her fist at me and punched me square in the jaw. Unfortunately for her, not only did the firefighters witness it, but my husband, who had just come home, saw it too. Everyone rushed over to pull her off me.
That's it, Mother. I was stupid to think that you had changed. But not only are you cruel to my wife, but now you've gone and destroyed our home too. I never want to see you again.
She sobered up quickly when she heard that, and then stormed off. Alex and I weren't going to let it go at that, though, and we called the police. And when they arrived, they took statements from everyone that was present. While the police were listening to our story, the firefighters came over and confirmed that the fire had been caused by a lit cigarette in the living room, which confirmed that my mother-in-law was at fault. After hearing that, the police went out to find her, and when they did, they arrested her. Not only was she charged for assaulting me, but they also charged her with negligence that led to the destruction of property. The judge that sentenced her was going to be lenient, but before he chose how much time in jail to give her, he asked if anyone had anything to say in defense of her. We instead told stories about who she truly is, and upon hearing them, the judge gave her the maximum penalty. As of today, she is still in jail, and I have no doubt that she might just be there for the rest of her life. And if you ask me, I think she got off easy. Alex and I, however, have never been happier. We received insurance money from the destruction of our house and were able to rebuild it and improve on the old design. And we finished rebuilding it just in time as well. Since we had been expecting a baby, and we had the pleasure of stepping into our new home with our newborn daughter. Thanks for watching.